Hello, I'm Sophie, and I'm recording my journey with dementia with my parents, or my journey through dementia with my parents, rather. um, I'm frustrated and annoyed again today. Um, on the one hand, it's quite good because my dad is back home, and I am getting back to a certain amount of normality. I don't have to go back and forth to hospital, so that's great. On the other hand, I'm really frustrated because just today I had a big argument with my dad, and I lost it, and I shouted at him. I was horrible to him, but I, I find it so frustrating and so difficult, and sometimes it's really difficult to know to what extent he manipulates me. For instance, he is much more whiny and complaining with me than he is with my sister. And my sister often says it's because he feels that he can with you. He can you softer than I am. That's my sister says that. And she's right. I am. I don't get angry very often at all. And yeah, it's really hard there. Today we had an argument because no matter what, it's like I can never win. I can just never win. You know, he complains if he complains whatever is happening. He complains, and he doesn't trust us or the healthcare team or the doctors or the nurses, or he doesn't trust anybody, the government. um and he just complains all the time, and sometimes I am so sick of this. This week, the whole week, with my sister, we negotiated that he could get out of hospital, that he could come back home. We organized everything so that his homecoming would happen in the best possible way. We took it in turns to go and see him. We brought him food. I mean, all things we do normally, but we really made a special effort to be really careful that he would get things on time, that there would be no delays, that we were answering the phone and everything. We coordinated everything with the healthcare team here who comes in to see him every day. There was a ton of work, and I'm really tired, as I keep saying. It's just asked me to go this extra little bit, and yeah, and then in spite of all this, he complains. And today he was complaining because he's obsessed by the fact he's sure he's getting the wrong pills, and and no matter what I say, nothing I can say convinces him that he can take the medication, and he that it's safe, and that it's been prepared by a certified nurse, and that this is the right medication that he needs to be alive and reasonably healthy. um, and he just stubbornly refuses. Sort of, he says, no, I'm not taking this, it's not the right medicine. And at the same time, if I tell him, well, okay, don't take it, he says, well, I'm not getting my medicine now, so this is terrible, nobody looks after me properly. And it's absolutely maddening. I can't explain. I just feel like screaming because it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. There's nothing I can do. I cannot force him to take the medication. I know that the less medication he takes, the more anxious he's going to become, and the worse it's going to be. But if he refuses to take it, what can I do? I can't force him. And I ended up yeah, about an hour ago, just shouting at him and saying, well, look, Dad, just serve yourself. Don't take the medication, and you'll be back in hospital in a few days. I mean, what else can I say? What else can I do? And and it just drives me crazy. It drives myself crazy as well, because I know that if he ends up back in hospital, I'll be here on this in front of my computer crying, because I'm going to feel sorry for him. And yet he'll have put himself in this situation. And this is the thing that I really struggle with sometimes, is to sort of sense to what extent he can control things, and to what extent he is just a victim of his illness. Because some things are just part of his personality. I mean, my dad has been like that a lot in his life, before he had a stroke, before he had vascular dementia, before he had all these health issues, before he was 76. He would be very much in this kind of thing, well, nobody's looking after me. But then when we looked after him, he was, oh, well, you're doing it all wrong. So whatever you do, you can't win. And it's hard to know to what extent he can control this. And it's hard to know what is the right attitude to have, because right now I just feel like being really hard on him and saying, just pull yourself together, because at the end of the day, it is his life. I cannot save him from himself. It is his life. And if he is incapable of trusting the nurse who prepares his medication, and if he's so incapable of trusting her that he just doesn't take the medication and puts himself at risk, and then has another stroke or another epileptic fit, or a mental breakdown, and ends up in one hospital or another, then I just, I can't just do anything. I'm powerless. Um, and then I guess that's so frustrating and so annoying and sad, and just infuriating, because I'm faced with my own utter powerlessness, and that's what's horrible. There's nothing I can do. It is his life. And if he wants to make these bad choices, he's going to make these bad choices, and there's nothing I can do. um and what's frustrating, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought a bit, but because there's so many bits to this, but what's frustrating is that no matter what attitude I take, it seems not to work. So if I'm angry, it doesn't work. And I'm going to have help to pay, because I shouted at him. I was angry. So now for about 10 days or even 2 weeks, he's going to talk about this horrible argument. It's funny how he remembers some things and not others. But that he's going to remember how awful I was with him, how I screamed and shouted at him, how this, that, and the other. And he's going to call. He's already tried to call 3 times since we had the argument. And he's going to be calling and calling, I know. So I'm going to have to face the music. But anyway, what I was saying is, if I shout at him, it doesn't really work. Um, in a way, it only makes it worse. If I'm kind, it doesn't work either, because I just feel he unleashes into this huge, verbal diarrhea of how he can't trust anybody. Um, so I don't know what to do, and I just have to accept that, I guess. That's it. As usual, if you're going through this, you have all my sympathy and empathy, and I'm sending you a lot of courage across the waves of the internet. I'll be back home. I'll be back tomorrow. I mean, um, for um, for another record of another day. Bye bye for now.